Greater 50 virtual roadshow on mentoring. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today, and all the participants who also sent us queries on mentoring in advance. We are really excited about the session today and look forward to diving into our Q&A session today. But before that, I would request Ms. Jyoti Vij to please make her opening remarks. Ms. Jyoti Vij is Deputy Secretary General FICCI. Over to you, Jyoti.
Thank you, Uma, and a very warm welcome to all the esteemed panelists we have today and several budding women entrepreneurs who have joined us this morning. I would just want to, talk about the Greater 50 initiative that FICCI and FICCI Ladies Organization had initiated last year. It's a project on women empowerment with a lot of dimensions, and entrepreneurship being one of the key focus areas as well. And we are thankful to Ms. Anna Roy for assuring her full support to this ambitious campaign and having joined hands with the Greater 50 Micro Mentor platform for the Mentor Mentee Connect for the women beneficiaries through the special online mechanism in order to help the women mentees with specific knowledge concerning a problem area that they may be facing. We at FICCI are partnering with Micromentor. It's a US-based organization. It's the world's largest community of entrepreneurs and volunteer business mentors. One can register on this platform as a mentee free of charge and benefit from the experience of global mentors who are willing to mentor and share their knowledge pro bono with you. One key feature of Greater 50 Micromentor platform is that you set your goal and the time frame for mentoring. The process here is transparent, result oriented, and with a feedback loop. See, the key benefits for the registered users through the platform are mentorship, enterprise development, training sessions that are provided on risk management, financial management, legal, marketing, networking, product innovation, quality, logistics, etc., and guidance and help on accessing finance and business accelerators, skill development, and also some personality development and emotional management related programs. And one can also reach out to us for offline programs on digital financial literacy. Chetna ji is here, so she's been supporting this a lot. Guidance on setting up micro units, enterprises, awareness about various government schemes. I mentioned about the legal rights and skilling earlier also. Women, of course, being the backbone of the Indian society, are the key drivers which have largely been ignored. The economic impact, it is known that the economic impact of achieving gender equality in India can actually add about 700 billion US dollar to the GDP by 2025, which is significant. And it is also estimated that women in entrepreneurship alone can generate about 150 to 170 million job opportunities, which is more than 25% of the new jobs that are required for the entire working population by 2030. It is through this program that we really want to help women unlock new business opportunities, be able to live their dreams, achieve their career goals in the best possible manner that they can. And FICCI and Flow truly value the Greater 50 partnership with the WEP. And we will make every effort to help the women mentees on this platform. I do hope that you find this session beneficial. This is just the beginning. A series of virtual roadshows are being planned on various topics that I mentioned above. So we do hope everybody to join in for those as well. We'll be shortly having a presentation and a walkthrough on the WEP Greater 50 Micro Mentor platform, following which we will request Ms. Roy and Chetna ji to share their vision on advancing business prospects for women entrepreneurs through this engagement. And of course, subsequently, there'll be Q&A session with experts and Greater 50 mentors present here. So may I request my team to present the Micro Mentor platform, please? Over to you, Uma, with this.
Yeah, thanks, Jyoti. I think Ms. Roy we heard from her office that I think she has a hard stop in another meeting. So I'll request Ms. Anna Roy to first maybe make her address, and then we'll make the presentation on the platform. Ms. Anna Roy, please, Senior Advisor, WEP, NITI Aayog, to please make her welcome address. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Oma. Thank you, Jyoti. And great to have Chetna also on the panel. Look forward to hearing from her. So we are basically a women entrepreneurship platform is an aggregator platform with the aim of bringing all various initiatives at one point so that the women who are the expected beneficiaries are able to benefit from the various schemes and initiatives offered by not only the government but also private organizations and industry bodies like FICCI as well as international organizations, because we feel that while there are multitude of initiatives, the information does not travel down to women, and by that I mean not only women in the tier 2 tier 3 city, but also in big cities, in metros and all. There is a lot of information gap. So this is the purpose of this platform. And we were kind of launched on the 8th of March in 2018. And we have come a long way. Today we have around 19,000 registered users on the platform. And I would, urge more women, uh, either they are prospective entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs, to come join hands and register on the platform so they can use the various initiatives offered on the platform. And I would urge FICCI also to send the message across so that more women come and join this effort, and benefit from the information which is put up on the platform. So besides telling women about the various initiatives, the platform also tries to empower them by imparting knowledge, uh, and in various various aspects of entrepreneurial journey. My personal belief is getting into entrepreneurship is, you should, while the risk is there, but if you do not empower yourself through knowledge before you become an entrepreneur, then you just multiply the risk. So while the business risk, will in any case be there, but there are ways in which we can address the other risk, and that is where we come in. So whether it is compliance, whether it is various other issues, these kind of risk are something which, by imparting knowledge, we hope to empower the women folk. And the platform is not only open to existing entrepreneurs, but it is open to all the prospective entrepreneurs also. The platform works in collaboration with partners. We never float any scheme of our own. What we do is showcase the partner schemes, and we also provide a platform for partners to connect each other so that they find their common joining grounds and work together, and in order to scale up their efforts. We have been working with Chetna in many respects, and we have been collaborating with other organizations. And FICCI Flow, the 50 Greater, is a great initiative because one of the pillars that we have is mentorship. And since FICCI had launched this, we are working with FICCI to take it to the wider audience. And we are also outcome oriented. So when we launch the mentorship with FICCI, we would like to not have a one way traffic where you meet some mentors and you get a lot of gyan, so as to speak. But we also would like to ensure that whatever gyan you are getting, whatever knowledge you are getting, is actually the kind of knowledge which you actually need, and also you have the necessary capabilities to absorb the knowledge. And how you put that knowledge to use is also something which we will be tracking. So I'm very happy to collaborate with FICCI, and they have a very enthusiastic and proactive team. I look forward to working with them. But without the collaboration of the mentees, the platform, no matter how much planning we do, how much effort we put if you do not collaborate with us, no initiative can be successful. And by collaboration, I mean not relationship, but also give your feedback, very frank feedback about what was your experience and what new things you would like to do, like the platform to do, and how you would want us to kind of curate this initiative. So together only, I think we can take this forward. And with that, I would wish this journey all the very best. Today is the first roadshow, and there will be many more to come, and I look forward to working with all of you for this very exciting initiative. Take this forward, but let it be a two-way communication. And on WEP, we have very good channels where you can share your views. We have a very robust community page where you can come and share your views. So please use the resources which we have put on WEP, and help us to improve this initiative further. And then whoever is not registered on WEP, whoever is listening to this, whoever is the audience, please come and register on WEP, and also spread this word for others to register on WEP, so that you all stand to gain from such efforts like FICCI and many other efforts, where we bring all these various initiatives to your doorstep. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna ma'am, for your words, and also about explaining what the WEP platform is all about and how it works on partnerships, and how it is very important that it is not only for entrepreneurs but also those who are ideating or thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. So plenty of resources there on the WEP platform. So please join in and spread in the word. I'll now quickly move and make a very short walkthrough on the Micromentor platform for the ease of all our participants. I'll just share my screen. Hope it's visible to everybody, the screen.
Yes, it is, Uma. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. So it's a very simple platform. There's a walkthrough. You can log into the Greater 50 Micromentor platform. We'll just put the URL in the chat box also and find a mentor. It's very simple, very simple to navigate, and the ease of use is there. All you need to do is just put in your name, last name, email ID, and basic details, and just register. Once you do that, there's also an entrepreneur expectations page about what to expect. Very basic details, country of your residence, your basic phone number, and your state, city details. And you can also choose where, which stage of, your venture is. Are you an absolute startup, or are you at stage 1 wanting to scale up? You can put in your venture launch date and other details. And you can also put in, not only your idea of the venture, but also which industry do you belong to. You could be a not-for-profit, you could be a for-profit enterprise. And there are multiple, services and industry to select from on the platform. And you can also select what kind of activities have you performed and what is it that you're looking towards from the mentorship platform. And there's also a confidence rating. Are you very confident about a particular activity, not very confident, neutral, and you can click based on your confidence level. I just move forward a bit. So this is a 9-step, stage that you can go through and do a self-assessment. It's very detailed, but once you fill it in, it will help you narrow down and filter the kind of mentors that you can look for. And then you can choose 3 areas of expertise that would be most helpful to your venture now. Is it accounting? Is it human resources, management? And within management also, is it fundraising? Is it strategy? Is it leadership? What is it that you're really looking for? So it's a very detailed, choice of the kind of service that you can expect on this platform. You can write a brief description of your venture for the mentors to see. You also have a choice of what languages you speak fluently, so that since this is a global pool of mentors, it is also easy for you to, if you are working in certain countries, you could also search for mentors from that particular country. Moving ahead, you could type in what are your current challenges, what actions have you taken so far, what are your future goals, what is your motivation to work with a mentor, why you're here. Yeah, once you've finished that, you will come up with the mentors who are recommended for you. And from there on, you can go on and actually, find the mentor. So there'll be a list of mentors available once you completed the profile, and then you can choose and start your journey. So this was just a brief walkthrough on what the whole platform looks like. We'll just, I'll ask my colleague Nitin to quickly also type the URL from where you can. And in case you have any details, we'll also share the email ID where you can reach out to for any help that you may require. So it'll be available on the chat box now. Moving on, I would now, start with, so the rest of the session is, of course, we have Ms. Chetna Sinha, founder of Mandeshi Bank and the Mandeshi Foundation, giving us our next address, after which we straight away dive into a Q&A session. Many of you registered participants have already shared your questions with us, and we are going to take more live questions on the chat box here. So please keep your questions ready. And we have 3 expert mentors with us today, Ms. Chetna Sinha, Ms. Vinita Sethi, who's the Senior VP for Apollo Hospitals and a co-convener for the Greater 50 mentorship pillar and the digital inclusion pillar. We also have with us Ms. Akanksha Bhargava, CEO of PM Relocations, who's a marketing expert and a mentor on the Greater 50 Micromentor platform. So before starting the Q&A session, I would request Chetna ji to please make her address. Over to you, Chetna.
Please tell me, Chetna. And I know Anna wants to leave fast, but I just wanted to actually request Anna, if you are there, or otherwise we can discuss later also, is that, when I was reading Uma, it was just a very good way of taking us through how you can get the mentor on this website, right? And while doing that, when I was looking at it, I got some 2-3 things in my mind. One was that Anna may not be there, but actually Niti awardee, I also sent in the message that Niti awardees can be a mentor. And if we have those, because these are all young buddy entrepreneurs who are interested in mentoring others also. So I was just thinking that, how can we bring that component, not in this theme for application form or anything, but on the whole mentoring part, because these young women entrepreneurs are very digital savvy also, and they want to help. And actually, I also want to say to Fiki, I mean, I was also thinking that can we create a brand for these young women entrepreneurs, saying that we are mentor of Fiki Flow. That gives them a sort of pride of being there, right? I mean, it's just like Vinita is here, everybody is here. I just want to say, like, they would also like Vinita person, and you feel pride with having a sharing a panel with Vinita, right? So these young buddy entrepreneurs would like to have Fiki Flow mentor branding for them. So I would just give you an example that last year Niti Aayog had awarded Ruchi Jain. She's a agro company, very smart. Mandish is working with her, and very young lady. We got some investment for her, but then now if she's ready, her website is ready, everything is ready. She can help some other women that how do you make your product marketable, and if she does that, she gets this tagline of Fiki Mentor, Fiki Flow Mentor. Then it will be like, that pride also will give her that, okay, I would mentor, say, 5 people or 10 people, whatever Fiki suggests, but then she will get that tagline. This is just my suggestion I'm throwing at in this session. The another thing, when Uma, we were going through it, I felt, and when I was going through the questions also, I'm not addressing the question, but I'm just saying that what are the things where women are coming on, why they want a mentoring, right? Based on those questions I saw. One is that CapEx marketing. I want to market my product, right? That is a major thing which is coming, which includes marketing, branding, advertising, all that type of mentoring. So that is another class of mentor we would require and how we can get it. Another is access to capital and banking, which is so important, and everybody, and yes, NBFCs are giving, microcredit is happening, but it's costly. And how do you do that? And how do you come to that stage where capital can be accessed either through bank, either private investors or the venture capitalists? So mentoring on that part. And we can have people like Rang De, not only just providing the capital, but explaining that, what are the things. And here I would just like to share that many times risk sharing. So if the mentees are here, and Fiki Flow mentors are also supporting the mentee, the people, those who are giving capital, they feel that, okay, there is a risk. Nobody is giving a guarantee, but she has that support, that she has the digital footprint of her business. She has all those things which can be mentored, that how do you project your business growth, how do you make your business plan. Then it becomes easier for people to give credit. And the one important thing which came, and I would stop because I know that it's more to address the question, is that a lot of people, a lot of women want to build their team, start the business and build their team. I find here that it's so important that when you are starting, founders are lonely. I always feel that founders are lonely, and to bridge that gap of loneliness, the team becomes very important. And that team has to be like, you really, the person who is working with you should feel like, oh, morning at 8 o'clock, I want to go. Even if she's a salary earner, that it has to be that vibrant moment in your life which you have to bring, which means that the first thing is that you have a confidence. Second thing is that you're proud for what you are doing. If you are you have a pride, you will share the pride. So I am just like, and then registering this on the platform of WEP and Fiki Flow, I would just request our whole team that, we can bring in partner, like I can get Mandeshi Chambers of Commerce, where all these women who are registered on our platform can be linked here. That is one. Similarly, we can get Sheroes, where, Sheroes can be, we can have some partnership, because so many women from tier 1 city, tier 2 they are registering on Sheroes. But yeah, Sheroes has like only women can register. So now there are some such platform also. So we can do the platform sharing. And then last one, which I find it very important, is that something we can work out that when you register, you get some package. When I say package means that, one session of accounting, one session of accounting mentoring, some package of digital literacy or business literacy, Deshi MBA literacy package, something like that. I'm just saying it can be anything, but we should brainstorm that I registered and I got this. It's like a coupon, right? That I got this coupon. And then that keeps me engaging with us. Or say 3 sessions I get an invitation for, or something like that. So that these are the things I just wanted to share, and we can, of course, go forward. And Vinita's, and so, I mean, I just like that, we have this road show on this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chetna ji. As always, lovely to hear from you, and points well taken. Obviously, I think under your guidance and Vinita's guidance on the mentorship pillar, it's always been paying forward. That you said, if there is a mentee who becomes a mentor tomorrow and pays forward, absolutely. And just like WEP and the FICCI Greatest 50, the whole idea is of partnerships and trying to leverage the most for all our women beneficiaries from each other's strengths. So absolutely. And I think your sessions, all the people hearing us today and who will come in future for all our virtual roadshows, they will have access to our various webinars and other programs that we'll do going forward. And now very quickly, I think I'll start with the Q&A session, and thank you participants for sharing your questions in advance. Others, please feel free to chat right now, put in the chat box right now. So I'll start with the Q&A. Thank you so much, and welcome Ms. Vinita Sethi and Ms. Akanksha Bhargava, our expert mentors, along with Ms. Chetna Sinha. I'll start with the Q&A based on the questions we've already received. So a few questions that we were getting from the marketing front was that, I run an early stage startup, and how much should I have as a marketing budget? Or also, could you also help me with few free tools that could help me save cost on marketing, both online and offline? So I would direct these questions to you, Akanksha, if you could start and maybe address these questions.
Hi, Uma. Thank you for having me here. A little brief about me. My name is Akanksha, and I started my entrepreneurial journey 14 years back when I was 21 years old. I joined an unorganized industry, which is the relocation industry. We help people shifting their homes across the globe, within the city, within the country, within any one country to another country. So our reach is pretty much global in terms of looking after people. And my father had started this business in 1986. And when I had stepped in, we were a little smaller setup because he never thought I would do this. So we were just about 30 people. And today we are close to 600 people. And we've been absolutely bootstrapped. So my story has been of building a brand and service expertise without actual funding. We did not have anybody who funded us, and to scale up a business which is already running is, I guess, equally hard, if not much more than starting a business, right? Because you have so much more to lose, I guess. When you start, you really have nothing to lose as such, but when you have already running business and you take those decisions and you scale up, you can lose a lot. So coming back to the questions, see, my story has been about scaling up a company and building a brand without actually having strong budgets. Because when you look at startups, they have angel funding, they have somebody backing them, and hence they have a sustainable amount in their projections and their planning to say, okay, this is what we need when we need to reach from A to B. And of course, the mode is also faster. So I think it also depends a lot on the kind of product you have. Do you have a e-commerce product? You have something that has to be sold online, that has to have that visibility. I'm from a service segment, and for us, it's a need-based industry. You cannot create a need. You cannot show that you have great people moving your stuff, so people would start moving. They won't. They will only move when they have to move. So marketing, I think, is a very, very a smart aspect of making your brand visible in a certain way that you want to. I think the language of your brand is very important. It's not relevant of how much are you visible, but it's about what you're making yourself visible as. Because I think the language that you start creating is what will take you to the next level. When we started, there was nobody in our industry that did anything on social media. Even now that you look at the whole industry, so unorganized that if you have to think of a moving company, you really cannot think of anybody because people are not structured. Hence, the way we started positioning ourselves on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and we had these QR codes that we had for our customers who could just review us on Facebook. And we are the only company who has about 250 reviews on Facebook in my industry. And so the ground level people did all the tough job. So when you look at an early age startup, of course, there's an idea and you want it to be reached out to maximum people. And I think it's very important that we understand that it's not about the amount of spend that we do and we say, okay, let's go all out, all over the place and say, if we don't present ourselves, we'll not be visible. But it's important to know that the language you want to communicate to your consumers. Who's your consumer? Is your consumer a certain niche segment? Is your consumer your retail segment? And it really depends on the kind of segment you're targeting, and the budget will totally depend on that. But yes, when you have the budgets in your hand, we should definitely look at spending ourselves close to about 10% of our revenue for sure, because that definitely flows back to your business. But even if you don't have the budgets, don't think twice, go for it. We need to be really clever about what we present, how we present, what we write, and that's where the smartness comes in. So we as a company have not had strong budgets because we were bootstrapped, but I think we've managed to create a space for ourselves that people know that we add value and we are a brand that is all about customer experience today.
Thanks, Akansha. I now move on to Ms. Vinita Sethi. So Vinita, you of course are an expert mentor, and you are part of many of the women empowerment initiatives, be it LSR's Alumna, ELSA, or Women in Tech, the Greater 50. So some questions that have come about networking. So one of our participants has written that I know networking is essential for my business, but I always feel uncomfortable in reaching out. So please suggest me an easy approach to building connections. How do I plan for networking? And also one more question is that how do I prepare for a 1-minute pitch to get attention and take the conversation going forward? Over to you, Vinita.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And I also work in a corporate sector, Apollo Hospitals. Earlier, I was with Bharti Airtel. Coming straight to the question of how do we really go about network, my first appeal and submission to all entrepreneurs, and I'm not gendering them, women or men, the most important thing is be realistic, don't be conservative. And it's a world where you have to be a go-getter. You have to go and actually understand who do you really want to meet with. Time is so precious. But I think one thing which has changed with COVID pandemic is that today we are able to network so much more on social media. So I think that could be a great asset. You can reach out to people on mails, on hashtag them, talk to them. Those who have hesitancy in speaking out everything could also write down things better. But I think it's very important to get into good networks. Uma has mentioned, for example, your alumni networks from college. There are many of us who have seen this trend of women investing in women. It's true. Women in Tech, for example, is a global movement that's investing in women in STEM and women in technology-led enterprises. See how quickly the world is changing. Similarly, associations like FICCI FLO, FICCI, this whole program of empowering Greater 50 is providing you nothing but a huge platform to network. So you just have to, like Uma explained, come and log in and connect, map your requirements with who you want to mentor you. If you have financial requirements, you want to look at investors, you can reach out to these platforms and see, who are the kind of people that you could be mapped with. When there are physical meetings, I would just say that it's very important for you to identify the conversational icebreakers. So for example, if you have a chance to speak about yourself, don't be shy. But the second question, how do you really make that pitch? Brevity today is very critical. For example, if you have to make a pitch to an investor, funding is the most critical issue for most women. So, you be very prepared with the numbers that you're coming up with. Investors don't really look at everything instantly, but they're very keen to see your bottom lines, your growth indicators. So show to them your accomplishments, show what was your your revenue sheet over the last 3 years. Were you able to get a decent PAT, profit after tax? What is your team number looking like? Is it a lean, mean team? So, the growth numbers are very critical to give those indicators to investors. So if you start by talking to investors just about, my enterprise is big and I've relocated 5 times and I've met these challenges, you have to ensure that first you give a sheet, just giving them, these are my important stats of my business. And then come to the point and say, I have the potential to scale up. You have a proof of concept. For example, you started a cosmetic company. You have taken it to 3 places. It shows there is a scalable element. Use graphical presentations and just get those eyeballs, get the heads to turn. So Uma, that's in brief. I mean, I can only say that for this session right now.
Okay, thanks, Vinita. I now move on to Chetna ji. There are some questions which have come for accessing finance and related queries about what is the bare minimum preparation that I need to do before approaching a financial institution. In fact, there are a couple of questions which are similar, that what level of readiness or preparation I require before applying for funding or financing my startup. So over to you, Chetna ji. Chetna ji, can you hear us?
एक मिनिट मैं परत फोन करते.
Yeah, shall I repeat my question, Chetna ji? There were a couple of questions which says that what is the bare minimum preparation that I need to do before approaching a financial institution? So what level of readiness or preparation I require before applying for funding or finance for my startup?
So, the question is, but it would be, even if it is a startup, the structure becomes very important. If you want to have a capital, access to debt or a loan, I am using big technical terms, but there are 2 areas, right? One is that you are asking for investment, and another is that you are asking for loan. Now, I consider that investment is much more, and when you get a very mature, then you go for investment, because you need to be able to protect your own interests and all that. But if I want a loan, and for my startup, then what are the minimum things which are required? So one, the bankers or the formal institutions who are going to give you loan, they would see that, what is the scale of the business? Even I'm not bringing that registration part first, because even if you are not registered, I am not going into that much technical part. Because even if you are registered, but if you do not have a business, then you cannot say that, oh, I am a registered and why am I not getting loan? The first thing lender looks at it is, one, your credit history. Now, if you do not have credit history also, that is fine. But the second thing what lender looks at it is, what is your business? How much is your turnover? How much is your buying and selling? How much is your stock? Why I'm saying in these simple terms is that it's not that you have to, many people say that you have to have a 3 years balance sheet, you go, and many people then end up paying for that, getting a wrong balance sheet. I also would request that many people for loans, they end up getting into the process which are not really helpful. The lender has to have a confidence in you. And before even preparing a file, have a discussion with lender that this is my business, this is my working capital, this is my sales, this is my stock, and how much am I eligible for? Understand that. Does it meeting your gap where lenders say that, okay, I am going to give you 50,000, but you need 100,000. Then you have to convince the lender that I need little bit more. But once there is a sort of an equal level understanding between the lender and the borrower, then one should go into the other details, like, preparing your balance sheet and all. Otherwise, I've seen many people get tired, get their file made from the third party, which is actually not very helpful. So those are the things. That is one. And I also find that many times it's fine to get it from NBFC, MFI also. Because it gives you the digital credit history. I know it's very expensive because these loans are like 24% and all, but still, and I am not talking about just JLG loans. There are NBFCs which are also giving to individual lending at district level. There are like, I mean, all these finance company you must have seen at the district levels are there, and their interest rates are very high. They are not very low interest rate, but still you get into the discipline of getting the loan. So that is one. The question you would say is that if I pay so much high interest, how would I earn profit, right? So in that, I would just request that you have to find the businesses, and in your cost, when you build the cost of your business, you have to consider that the cost of capital is high in the beginning. When you become eligible and when you have a credit history, then your cost of funds come down. But replying to this, I would also request Uma that it would be very good if we have such team of people who would want this type of mentoring. We
Sure.
can have a customized mentoring sessions also, because then you can get on board the people like, where we only have a session on this full access to capital, and get some 2-3 NBFC representatives or some investors, or not only some investors who have invested in venture in the early startup. And the third part, I mean, it would be always good. The question is from whom, Uma?
This is from one of, I can't really see the name, from one of the mentees from.
Okay, but I would also say that there are associations of startup, right? There was one person who is part of Unlimited India. So, or if you are, these are the associations of startup where you apply for. Then if you get an award, then they match the investors.
Yeah.
So if you go through such thing, like either it is Unlimited India or there are Ankur Capital. These are some companies where they get if you get an award from them, it's not an award actually. They select you for the investment. So one should keep on looking for that also. And the fourth one is that even government, I mean, I know that I never generally say that, go to government for the money. No. But if you apply for the government award, which is that every state government has these Udyogini award. If you get that recognition of getting award from these government programs, then it adds to your credibility because they would come and see. So there are different ways for the startup to attract the capital or to get the loans. But the main thing, I feel, your books has to be in place. And nowadays it's not very difficult. There are accounting apps like Mera Khata, Mera Bill, where you record everything, and in these accounting apps you get the dashboard. You get and Uma, for that I can get this lady who is Pia Bahadur. She has developed the accounting app Mera Bill. All our women entrepreneurs are using that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it
Wonderful.
gives everything. It gives the dashboard of your business. It gives the profit and loss. It gives your total sales. It maintains your stock, everything. The only thing is that you should have app. And any business you do, either buying or selling, you put an entry in it and things will be taken care of.
Wonderful.
Uma, can I just come in to add
Yes,
one
please
point?
do.
Chetna ji, this is exactly what I was coming to. Just one point here, Uma. It's not just semi-rural, rural women, but even urban women who are running
Yes.
micro enterprises. And I think what is very critical is for them to keep two things in mind. Any financial product that they see, debt or equity, looks at a minimum ticket size, right?
Yes.
So they have to be able to understand themselves through their accounting process what kind of financial capital are they really looking at. And secondly, please understand, it is unfortunate, but it's true that the risk perception of women entrepreneurs in this investment world is pretty high. So I think along with keeping the accounting books, Chetna ji has very correctly said, maintaining a dashboard, getting your entries correct is also a business model. You know, you
Yes.
should be able to, again and again, I keep saying, have a long-term business plan.
Thanks. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And also to answer Chetna ji, this question was from Shilpa Srivastav, but she hasn't shared where she's from. So I'll move on to the next question, which is actually on again on marketing. And the question that we have is that, you know, how do I enter? This is from Ms. Madhurima Tripathi, who said that how do I enter an exhausted market like soap making? And also, one question that I want to put any of you, Akansha, particularly to you, is that how do I cope with negative feedback from customers and work with them in future? So over to Akansha, but please, Chetna ji and Vinita, please feel free to answer these as well.
Thank you. So to answer I would go for the latter one first, that how do you handle a customer who's not happy with you, considering I'm in a space which is totally about moving goods, and if even small breakage happens, you can leave a customer quite upset because it's not just about physical damage, but an emotional connect that one has with their belongings, right? So I genuinely believe that, you know, customer experience and customer management is not about making your happy customers happy, because usually we see a lot of people, you know, talking about great feedbacks, great testimonials, saying this said great about us, this is so great about us. But I think internally one should have a assessment of understanding who is not happy with us and why are they not happy with us, and are they consistently not happy with us. Because if it's a one time purchase, then obviously the first impression is the last impression, and then you may not find that customer again. But if a call goes, if you go back to the customer and check with them what went wrong, you obviously you apologize, but that's just a very upper layer of understanding what went wrong. But if you deep dive and you really try to solve that problem, I don't think one bad experience makes somebody leave you forever. You have to go back and earn that trust again. It's harder, it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. What we usually do is we end up making a database and saying, okay, out of 10, 5 were not happy or 3 were not happy. But I personally think what a lot of people don't do is go and talk to those 3 people and understand what was not right. Maybe at a larger number game, it's not that easy, but when you're a smaller company, those things are very easy and they're important, and that lays the foundation of your growth. Because if the culture is about going back to the customers who are not happy, then whatever number you become tomorrow, you will still remain that company, and that culture will always sustain. Your employees will always remember that this is what the base of the organization, and these are the roots of the organization. So I personally think that it's important to speak to those customers and try convincing them to give us a try once again. And once they do that, you know, you will know that it's not impossible. And also your improvements will automatically happen when you find those customers who are not happy with us. So I think it's creating that culture at the end of the day. And second, you know, to answer the question that how do you enter an exhausted market like soaps, it's a very good example though, because yes, we hear so many products today coming every day in the market. But like I said, I think every brand, every product has its own language, you know, and there is always room for people who are trying to do something different. Even though you're already entering into a market which is already there and people have certain choices already made visible, but there'll always be that gap that made you get into that market, and that made you believe that there is a reason for me to do this service. Because at the end of the day, you as an entrepreneur, I mean, it's always about gut. It's always about that gut feeling and that sixth sense that you have, and you say, okay, this is what I really want to do. And there is a reason that resonates with you when you enter into a certain kind of business. And if that reason is very is very special to you and you know the right intent behind it, you will find the language behind it also. And hence, when you're reaching out to your consumers, that language will be quite visible out there. And I think hence it's quite possible to enter any market if you know your intent behind entering that market.
Thanks.
Uma, I have
Thanks.
just 2 points.
Yes.
One, customer is the king. And any negative feedback is a great opportunity to make the improvisations and change the way you're doing work in business, and it's totally possible. Second, on the soap, I'm just going to give a very small example of Lush, for example, in the US. It's a completely different way of entering the retail market with an item like soap. You know, you walk into their boutique kind of outlets. The soaps in from the stage of making up, what their raw materials are given out. So it just depends on the quality. Quality is something I think in such personal hygiene products that can't be compromised. I come from healthcare sector. Daily we have complaints of some nature or the other. Quality can't be compromised. Packaging has to be very good. And the way you sell your product, there has to be an element of empathy.
In fact, Vinita, thank you so much for sharing that. A couple of questions which have particularly come for you. One is, this is Simi Sugatan from Monitor Research Foundation, who's asked you that how to create a network in maternity hospitals. How do I get the first entry? That's one. And the second one is, during COVID times, technology has been a great enabler. So how can I access this mentor pool or the WEP FICCI partnership to help me use technology in furthering my business? So
Maternity
Vinita,
hospitals, what kind of breakthrough is needed? I'm not very clear about it.
Yeah,
Is it an outsourced service that she's talking of in something that she wants to connect with the hospital in outsourcing of a service? That needs to be clear. But otherwise, if you see hospitals and even clinics, they do provide end-to-end service now. It can't be like a patient walks in and a certain service is not available, to the extent that patients are pampered, in maternal hospitals. So I think the best way, even if you have a specific, a product or a service you could provide to maternity hospitals, to go straight up to them and talk to them about it. If it's not there, see why is it that they would like to choose you. Please understand that maternal hospitals, again, are all very, very particular about accreditation. The quality component of access in healthcare is very critical. No risk can be really taken there. So having said that, what was the second question? How to access this platform?
How to leverage this partnership, and also, for technology, during COVID times, how to access technology and get the business going. Yeah.
Oh, so I think COVID is an amazing opportunity in healthcare. Today I was reading that all the telehealth consultations and online appointments and consultations have gone up multiple hundred of times. So even, for example, if you're in some kind of maternal health care, I don't know what that is, but let me, for sake of everybody kind of understands, is something to do with bringing care to a mother in terms of, say, Vedic lessons, or I have a lot of people who approach us in kind of online things. So I think it's best for you to first do some research and see where does your product really fit in. And with COVID, a lot of ways of marketing, through technological platforms are open to women. You can use blended technologies. You can participate in healthcare sessions and bring your product out. Like Chetna said, you can, network with the right people in, for example, healthcare platforms. And Web and FICCI FLO does have a lot of verticals under which mentoring and business opportunities are being provided. I think you'll have to explore that a little bit more with Uma.
Sure. Thanks, Vinita. And also one more question. In fact, many of the mentees have asked, which any of you could. They're saying that during the COVID times, paying back the loans or the EMIs and all were very difficult. Obviously, the business got impacted, and they're really concerned about the financial management. And what they're saying is that they're feeling helpless, and interests are increasing, GST is not being paid, and there's so much of penalty. What can the government do for small entrepreneurs like us? And also, what is the kind of support that we can get from the government, and what are the government schemes and financial aid that we can get? So Chetna ji, either you or any of our mentors, if you would like to answer this.
I think you must do a survey of what are the exact issues that they are facing, and then once you see the outcome of the survey, collate, and then you could always make a representation if it justifies the cause.
Sure. Chetna ji, you were saying something?
Yeah, I actually was going to, I totally agree with Vinita that, why don't we do this? So one is that RBI has its own circular, right? As far as payment is concerned, loan payment is concerned, and interest is concerned, everything. Because one, if you have taken loan, have your interest been waived from the bank? They should waive for 2 quarters. Make sure that has happened. Because we as a banker has waived the interest of 2 quarters, and we have got money from RBI of that interest. So it is, banks are not doing any uppar. They are going to get money from the government. So that is one. If I am a borrower, have I got the waived interest which I am eligible to? The second part is about GST, right? That my business is not happening, but all the compliances are there and all, which I do think that, as a FICCI floor, being a women entrepreneur, we can make this representation to the government. But even if you have to make the representation, I would always say that is FICCI flows thing, right? But if I am coming and having a question, I wouldn't wait for when government will take the decision. So whoever has asked the question, I find that they should go to the regional commissioner office. If they are penalized, that don't penalize us. This is the situation in COVID, and we cannot, because I do think that these things have to be dealt at, because if you are penalizing, if you are penalized, which means that will remain on your PAN card always, and you have to get rid of that, because it is going to affect your further loans also. That there is a lapse on your side for GST. Then banks again will not give you loan for the second loan. So I do think that one should not feel shy. One should not get scared of these officers. Go write a letter, tell them this is my situation, find the solution. I think that is very important. And these things one has to go to not only just physically go to the offices, but write sort of, open letter in the newspapers, in the English newspapers, that this is my open letter to the authorities. And then again, make your file with that print open letter also, because I would just like to say to the question who has been asked that, you have to fight your own journey. And that is going to be the great lesson for you also. As an institution also, we do all these things, right? One should be doing, because these things are going to come. So, and then the third part, I would just say to whoever has asked the question, that there are district level bodies of, different businesses, associations. Be part of that. Be part of that. Even if it is not Women Business Association also, you will get the experiences of other peers, what they did when they got through. And never get into the ways where never get into shortcuts like isko itna paisa khilaya aur mera kaam ho jayega. Never get into these things. Be very straightforward. Have more peers wherever you are operating, and share your problem for up to 100 people. That gives you more confidence, right? That I am facing this problem and find out the solution to me. So I would say that would be the better strategy.
So, thank you. And I know we have overshot our time a bit, but one last question I want to take, and also to those who have sent us queries which are very sector specific, like there are questions on how do we enter the turmeric latte industry, or on bags, or jewelry and other, or on agriculture, agripreneurship. We will address, even after the session, go through all of the questions, and with the help of our expert mentors, come back to you answering all your queries. But one last question I would like to take here from all our mentors is, we have Priscilla from Terra Incognita, who's asked, when looking for a new business partner, what is the quality that one has to look into? So I'd request any of our mentors to please answer that.
Uma, I'll just say one thing. It's
Yes.
like any other partnership. You have to see if your values, the core values and mission align. I think that's the most critical. And then you have to also see what are the strengths each one brings on the table. And it depends on what kind of partnership you're looking at other than that. Whether it's a marketing partnership, whether it's expanding into new markets, or it's just a financial partner you need and you want to manufacture something. So then it all depends on aligning your mission and values. That's very critical.
Great. I think that brings us to the close of this session. And thank you so much. And the queries which have not been answered, which are very sector specific, we will take it up and hopefully we will definitely in fact come back to you on a mail and we'll put it up on our website also. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Chetna ji and Vinita and Akanksha for joining us on this mentorship planner platform. And also to all the participants here, we are doing a series of such virtual roadshows, and you will hear from many more of our mentors going forward. And like Chetna ji said, we'll be curating specific sessions on finance, marketing, and other such issues that you're facing. Thank you once again, all of you, for joining. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Uma. Thank you, everybody. Chetna ji.
Thanks, Vinita. Thanks, Uma.
Akanksha, bye.
Thank you.
Jyoti, thanks.
Bye-bye.